Hello, friends, and welcome. This is the JRPG Report, episode 163, and we are doing this in the future. We are recording in for a future podcast, and I have been joined by the man. Dalton is here. What's going on, buddy?
Howdly doodly there, neighbor. How you doing today?
Nice, Flanders. We are, of course, I am on a short vacation this week, so I thought, what better way to kill the time than to talk with my good friend, Dalton, from the Steam Machine podcast. Before I forget, buddy, why don't you go ahead and give that a plug while you're at it, because I really like what you're doing over there.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, my name's Dalton. I'm part of a show called the Steam Machine podcast, where basically I have a massive PC backlog of video games, and I decided what better way to try to make myself play through them all than to start a show about it. So each week I run my trusty robot friend Steamy, and he gives me 5 game choices. And I take those 5 game choices and I stick them in the show's Discord, and I let the good people of the Discord and listeners vote on what they want to hear next. Now we just started that a couple weeks ago. Before that, I was just selecting one random game at a time, but I kind of wanted to involve people a little more, you know. So now we just this week we're playing some King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited match. And the next poll, West of Loathing, is looking strong for a winner. And have you heard of West of Loathing at all?
I was going to say I do not know what that is.
Okay.
So do we need to educate people?
I think it's worth it. Honestly, I played it on Switch when I first played it. It's an RPG. It's turn based, and you play as a stick figure. And other people in the game are stick figures. And it's like this old-timey Western game where it's like your jobs, like you don't have your traditional RPG jobs, but yet they are the traditional. Like the fighter is called a cow puncher.
Nice.
Yeah, just things like that. And it's
okay.
Black and white drawn stick figures. Hilarious game. If you like turn-based RPGs, it's not necessarily a JRPG, but it's kind of the similar style.
Okay.
Really funny game.
The more you described it, the more it did kind of sound a little familiar.
Yeah, well worth your time if you've got. It's not expensive. It's like $10 or $15. It's, it's on the relative cheap side. It's really funny.
Cool. I might have to check that out. Of course, I voted for Kingdom Hearts 3 just because I thought, why not? That's my required vote.
Well, actually, I've got something here pulled up. Because I think this week is going to be a little harder for you, sir.
Uh-oh.
Spoilers for the next. I went ahead and made the next list. And Steamy came in hard again this week. With his first choice is Arma 3, which is not really your style. That's a military simulation game. Okay, but then he's got Tales of Berseria.
Oh.
Dragon Age Origins.
Oh, my.
Trails in the Sky.
You got to be kidding me.
And Pillars of Eternity. So I'm like...
No. What? That's like picking your favorite kid. You can't do that.
I know. As soon as when he handed me those 3, I was like, oh, James is going to hate this. He's going to hate this.
You can only vote for one, and then that means, I guess, the way it works is once it's off that list, it kind of goes to the bottom of the pile and in the shuffle.
Not necessarily. It's just like whatever doesn't win... stays on the list, so it's there to come up again, but there's no telling when it'll come up again.
No, and I know you had already publicly stated that whatever Trails games comes up, it would automatically be Sky. Was that what you said? So that you can play them in order? Okay.
Yeah, so it was interesting that he gave me Sky.
That is interesting. Yes, you had a 1 in 9, I guess, if you had all of them, not 9 chance. But
I think I've got up to Cold Steel 3. I don't think I have 4.
Okay, well, there's no sense in just yet, so.
Yeah.
Wait till it goes on sale. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I was going to say, I really enjoyed the new format. Getting a random robot thing is cool, but you involve the fans that way, and it gives you something to kind of look forward to. And then, people can choose your punishments each week as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm waiting for like a really bad game to get chosen, and then everybody votes for it just to punish me. Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely going to think about next week. Then that'll be interesting. But let's do a little. So you are our resident PC weatherman,
Yes, sir.
and that I kind of pride myself on being up on the console stuff. I do dabble a little bit, like obviously that's how I played Trails in the Sky was through my PC and Steam account, but. You are a guy, so I want to kind of pick your brain a little bit on a few that we've talked about here recently that you've gotten a chance to actually have some hands-on time that are not on consoles yet and are coming. But first, I just want your rapid reaction to Tales of Arise. I know you had said you dabbled in a few of the games before. What are your feelings on this? I'm assuming it is positive.
Oh man. So yeah, I was completely oblivious to it, and then I popped over onto the JRPG Report YouTube.
Ooh, nice plug.
Yes, thank you, sir. And I was scrolling around and I saw that there was some videos up for it. So I'm like, oh well, I'll check it out because I know how excited you are for it. So I'm like,
Just a wee bit.
Let's see what's up with this. And I watched that 7-minute English trailer or English gameplay battle video, and oh man, dude, that looks so fun.
It does.
And the graphics and the environment trailer where it was kind of just the characters walking around the different areas.
Mm-hmm.
Stellar, gorgeous.
That might be my favorite one. I love seeing the battles in action, but just them walking around the environments is going to be so much fun just by itself.
What was great too is that you were uploading new stuff as I was watching it, because I would watch something and then I would hit back and it would be like, this video that was posted 0 minutes ago. I was like, oh sweet, click it, watch it. It looks awesome. It looks like it's a little more fluid than Symphonia, which is the last one that I put any time into.
Oh wow! So yeah, that's like a 20-year leap, dude. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've dabbled. I've got Zestiria, I've got Berseria, and I have Vesperia. Like I've got them and I've played them a little bit, but the one that I put the most time into was Symphonia. But that was because at the time, that was the Tales game that I had, was Symphonia.
That's awesome. That's of course where my love started at on the GameCube. So that has a special place in my heart. It's funny that you mentioned a moment ago Berseria being on next week's poll, because I just started my replay of that a couple nights ago on PlayStation, and I don't know if I guess I can publicly state this. I do like to stream my titles at night when I play through. Both Berseria and Zestiria on the PlayStation 4, you cannot stream that.
Oh, they pulled the Persona 5?
Well, no, I mean, I streamed Persona 5. I'm talking about the entire game. Like,
oh, wow.
Yes. Not just, like when I was playing Strikers, the very end was blocked, and the same thing with Persona 5. The entire game is copyrighted because of, like, the music included, but it's like, what music is not copyrighted in video games? I don't understand that.
Yeah, that's a little odd.
It really is. So I was just streaming right along, and I'm like, I don't think this is ever going to change. Like, I've got 30 minutes of upload, and there's just the camera with the little dots the whole time. I'm like, this isn't working. And I Googled, and I was like, yeah, you can't do it. It's really odd.
Oh, man, I would have been hurling certain words at my screen. Let me tell you what. I'd have been so angry.
I think it's fine for you guys. I think it's just PlayStation. If you do a capture card and that route, it's fine. But through actual PlayStation, they say nope, can't do it.
Man, I find those just quick side tangent. I find those capture cards to be amazing technology.
They really are.
Like, there you can just like hook up a Super Nintendo and then record your gameplay on it. It's just wild to me.
It really is. That is certainly one of the investments I want to make at some point, to really do some fun stuff like that. But we got off on a tangent, as I figured we would. But yeah, I mean, Tales, of course, coming to PC, so you're going to get the best version of it. I plan to have a PlayStation 5 by that point, so maybe it'll be pretty similar. But I just can't wait to get that thing in my hand. Now, the only, I think, big advantage that PlayStation 5 has actually over PC is going to be the DualSense controller and the different effects that's going to have. I mean, it doesn't have many legs up, but I think that's going to be the one. Yeah,
that haptic feedback controller, man, that is a wild piece of technology there too.
And it's fine. It feels like it's due. Like, the DualShock's been around for a while. They finally had that next big upgrade to it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll probably get a PlayStation 5 eventually. I'll probably wait until I say wait until they come down in price, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon.
No, you're pretty much waiting until you have an opportunity to buy it. At this point, it's insane.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I could spend the same amount of money and upgrade my PC, so it's like,
yeah.
At the same time, it's like, well, there's probably going to be some PlayStation 5 games that are going to be exclusive. I assume that there's going to be some JRPG games that come out that I'm not going to get to play on PC. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah, but I think, as we kind of talked about before, like, so many are coming to it now. There is usually a delay. Like, that's, with Cold Steel 4, you had a 5-month delay, right? But it's still coming. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense unless you need to play it day one.
I believe Ease 9 finally got a PC release date, didn't it?
Yeah, I was going to ask you how I know how much your love for 8 goes. So the fact that you finally got 9 coming out in July?
I believe it was early July, yeah.
Yeah, July 9th. So, no, I'm sorry, 6th in North America. So not too much longer.
No, I'm stoked. I really liked 8. The combat and the music and the story. I haven't beaten it yet, but that's one that I am going to beat because I'm invested in it. I just need to either have it come up on the show or have another game like King of Fighters where I can spend some time playing other things.
And that worked out pretty well for you this time, right? Yeah, you had King of Fighters, but then you could actually play some Edge of Eternity instead.
Yes. I streamed King of Fighters 2 nights, and I ended up getting Twitch affiliate, so that was cool.
There you go. And by the way, congrats on that, dude. That's awesome.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, it happened quick, but I really put in work and bugged people like, hey, you should give me a follow on Twitch. Thank you very much. But it worked. But yeah, it's been nice being able to have a JRPG to play in the background. And speaking of, you want to go ahead and just touch on that, or?
Yeah, we can go right there. That's why, honestly, that's where I want to kind of spend the most time is this is the case in point for, a game that's been in early access for a while on PC. While it's got all that JRPG pedigree to it, and it is finally coming to consoles, so, you've got a chance to play a little bit of it. I guess the final version is coming out here on June the 8th. But I'm looking forward to it. I think a lot of people, it's finally back on their radar after being off it for a while. What was your initial impressions about it?
So, I think it was funny. I think I told you this last time we spoke, is that I had this in my cart when it was on sale and then decided, I'll grab it another day. And missed the sale, but I ended up buying it anyway because I had heard you talk about it after, a day after or later that day, and it sounded really cool. So without spoilers, when I first opened it up and got into it, the intro was pretty cool. It snagged me. I don't really want to talk about what happens in the intro because there's some story beat stuff.
Cool.
Very reminiscent to me of Star Ocean.
Okay.
It's almost like, I would say it's almost like if you took Final Fantasy and merged it with Star Ocean, but then that's just basically Phantasy Star. So it's that same genre. It seems like there's going to be some space to it, because I saw a lot of lasers being fired and things like that. But then it's also
interesting.
Sword and board, monsters, that kind of thing too.
Okay.
The environments are beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. When
Awesome.
I was running around, I really enjoyed looking at everything. And I actually just got through the prologue, an hour and a half, 2 hours in. And once I got past the prologue, this new area I'm in that I haven't gotten a chance to explore yet, but all the grass is purple, and all these trees are lit up with these glowing light-looking things, and it is really a pretty-looking area. One of the things that I showed you was the mount.
Well, I was hoping we'd talk about the mounts in the game.
The best way I can describe the mount is Carnbunkle, but it's a cat. I that's the best way I can do it. I sent you the picture of it, and I'm like, it's literally, it looks like a cat in the face, like
giant furry cat to ride. Yeah.
yeah, and it's got two tails and big old paws and some like feathery type stuff coming off its head. But other than that, it's a giant cat.
Yes, which
Yeah.
has been long overdue.
And it's pretty cool once you do the little quest to unlock them. As long as you're near the farm for them, and I can't remember the name. I think they're Nekos or something like that, which would make sense because I think that means cat
in Japanese. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
So I think they're Neko somethings. But yeah, so once you do that, as long as you're not too far away from the farm, you can just hit left on the D-pad, and your mount will basically just show up next to you, and you can hop on
Cool.
it.
Kind of like calling your horse in Red Dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like in Dragon Quest 11. I went way far in the future there.
Yeah, that's coming in 2060. Yeah.
One thing that the mounts did that was cool that I really enjoy is when you're on them and you're running around, like every once in a while you'll see this. It looks like a Wi-Fi signal coming out of it. And I was just, like my gamer logic's like, I should probably follow that. So I just started running the direction that it was leading me. And eventually I got to this spot that I guess there was some buried treasure because my mount just stopped and started digging in the ground. And then
Oh, cool.
all of a sudden it gave me a new item. And let me see, I'm reading through my notes here.
That's okay. That kind of sounds like Ryza 2 with the mounts. They can, when you're on them, they can dig for special items, but they're more numerous because that game's all about gathering. But I love that option. That's special things that only your mount can do and find for you.
Yeah, it seems like it would be it's a cool mechanic that, like, you know, you might find something that you wouldn't normally find. Because
And obviously,
your mount
once you get
sniffs it
into
out.
battle, you get off them. You don't ride them into battle. That'd be crazy, right?
No, yeah, unfortunately, you can't go big kitty on people. But with the battles, I actually just learned after like I don't know three or 4 hours of playing and just messing around that there's an attack button on the main map, like or on the world map. So like when you're running around, I was just running straight up into enemies, and then the battle would start. But then I switched from controller to mouse and keyboard because I needed to charge my controller. And it was like, yeah, hit the right mouse button to swing your sword as you approach enemies. And I was like, oh.
Oh, okay. So it's like Cold Steel gives you an advantage if you attack them first? Okay.
Yeah, it stuns them for the first round.
Nice. That's a big advantage, yeah.
So the combat's turn-based. Your
Awesome.
characters each have like a space. So it almost reminded me of Fire Emblem in a sense that you have to, like, positioning matters. So like an enemy might be going to attack one of these octagons because they're all octagons.
Okay.
And if your character's standing in that octagon, if your turn comes up before that enemy's gotten off that move, you can select to move out of that square, or you can attack the enemy, and if you hit the enemy hard enough, it will cancel out what he's doing. It's kind of just like a risk versus reward. Like, do you want to take the risk of not hitting it hard enough, and then you get hit with whatever move they're throwing at you?
Oh, cool.
Or do you just want to pop out of the way, that move misses, and then you can go at it?
It kind of sounds like a hybrid of like a little bit of Grandia in there, but like the positioning of like the walled arms with the hexagonal, shape. That positioning matters, but in a turn-based environment. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the combat personally. You've got like your different little spells that you can do. Like I think one of his Darien is the main character, and I think one of his moves is called like Thunderblade, and it hits twice. Costs MP. I did end up. You do end up. I don't think this is too much of a spoiler because this is like where the game starts really after the prologue. Is you are part of like the military, and you end up going to visit your mom who is sick. And I'll leave the sick part at that. She's sick, and you have to go meet with your sister, and your sister's name is Celine. I think Celine.
I thought they were brother and sister. Okay.
I like Darien. I love Celine.
Okay.
she is hilarious. Like, there's this one thing where she was just like, don't you forget that I saved your life and you owe me forever. And he's like, oh, no, not this story again. She's like, oh, yes, this story again.
That's awesome.
I just love she picks at him, and it's just hilarious to me. There was a scene, honestly, up for the first hour or so, I'm like, all right, this game's pretty. But as I kind of talked to you about off air, the character animations could use some work. But
yeah,
they've also been like whenever you quit the game, they ask you to do a quick little survey, and they ask you like, how did you feel about the character animations? Like, was there anything that you would comment on about it? And I let them know the exact thing that I'm gonna tell you now, and it's that the character animations are all right. They look a little disproportioned. I don't know how to describe it. Like, when you look at Darien, it looks like his arms are too small for his body. Like, they're just a little too skinny. Like, I feel like if they put like maybe 5 pounds of muscle on each arm, or maybe even less than that, if they just gave him a little muscular density in his arms, he would look
a little better.
Better, but like,
that's funny you say that. I pull up an image of him, and I see what you're saying. Like, just a little scrawny,
very skinny arms. Yeah, I don't know if maybe he'll develop as the game goes on. You know,
I doubt it.
But I doubt it. So Celine is the sorceress of the two, or the mage, if you will. Went into battle with her and started slinging fireballs. It was fun. And then so anyway, what I was getting at was that, like, the first hour, I'm like, all right, it's all right. The character animations look all right. The facial animations could be better. Environments are awesome. Battle's awesome. How's the story?
Yeah.
And it was like, the beginning seemed kind of tropey, but wasn't terrible. And then all of a sudden, you hit this one certain point, and this is before you meet Celine. You hit this certain point where this event happens. I know I'm being very cryptic here, but I don't want to,
No, that's good.
This event happens, and I was like, oh, expletives I don't say on this show. It's like,
that's for your show.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, all right, that was wild. There was a masked guy, and all I'll say about the masked guy is that if you have played Final Fantasy XIV at all, this dude looked just like a scion. Like, there are these characters in Final Fantasy XIV, the scions, and they're like high up people, and they all wear these crazy looking like masks, masquerade masks almost. And that's what these dudes looked like in Age of Eternity. That's just what it reminded me of. So I'm like, okay, so they're pulling. I can see where they're pulling inspiration from different things, like Final Fantasy, Star Ocean, Phantasy Star, like I said. Maybe even a little Fire Emblem.
When you're going around the fields, it reminds me of Xenoblade.
See,
it
I've
kind of
never
has
played
that.
Xenoblade.
Okay, like, just looking at some of the gameplay, it looks like the giant exploring. It definitely reminds me of either Chronicles 1 or 2.
I will say that in the first town that you get to, that's like an actual town, I saw a mission board, and I immediately got filled with excitement because I knew what was going to be on there. And I ran over to it. Yes, sir. I ran over to it, and it was like, hey, go kill 5 of these monsters. And I was like, that's what I was wanting. I love monster hunting in any of these games, which is, I don't know why I don't really like Monster Hunter. But
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
I guess because I think it's because I've never played it with friends, and I think that game is based on multiplayer, like, heavily. Yeah. But I love monster hunting side quests. It's like always been my downfall playing Final Fantasy 12 too. It's just go knock out all the hunts. So it's the first thing I did is I went and I did all the little side missions. Ended up getting into a fight with something that was a little hard for my level at the time, but I pulled through. It hit hard, but I hit hard too.
That's all that matters.
Other than that, man, I mean, I'm really enjoying Edge of Eternity. I am looking forward to it coming out of early access to see like what that big last final patch is going to be before they do the full release, and then I'm sure there will be little patches after that. But I can only imagine that there's going to be a solid big patch at the end. And
yeah, I would imagine so.
I'll sum it up with what I said on Steam. I put a review on there earlier today. I said, I'm really enjoying the game so far. A couple things could use touching up, but nothing major enough to complain about. Bravo to the dev team.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, you're talking about less than 2 months until it's full release, so there's not a ton they're going to be able to do to it other than fine tuning at this point. And I'm assuming that final version is what's going to come out on consoles.
Yeah, and really, just some fine tuning is all it needs, in my opinion.
Okay.
Like so far, the battle system's really fun. Like I said, the environment's really pretty. The story seems to be good. There's just a couple other things they could touch on, and even if they don't, it's not ugly.
Right.
It's not terrible. So, even if the dude's arms are a little skinny, I can deal with that for a good game.
Does it? It feels like to me, and I don't know if you can confirm or deny this. Is there just going to be the 2 party members, or do you foresee more?
Okay, so in the prologue, in the little beginning intro section, you start off with 4 people.
Oh, there you go.
So I don't know if you and Celine will end up getting more as you go along, but you're kind of set up in the beginning to have a party of 4, so it might be that you end up finding other people, even if they're not permanent party members.
It could be those are the 2 mains, and you kind of rotate as the game goes in and out.
Yeah,
places.
that's
well,
kind of
okay.
what I was thinking.
That's fine. That was my only hesitation. Is I've only seen the 2, even in combat and some of the videos. It's like that's cool, but I need at least 3, preferably 4. That's a party, right?
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Very good. I mean, I'm excited. You have done nothing but make me even more excited for it.
Man, you get to ride giant kitties and beat stuff up. What more do you want?
I don't know much more. Do you think it's going to have like online quest elements to it as well, or is this going to be kind of more of an offline experience?
I think it'll be offline.
Okay.
It's got like the seeds that they would do like an online spin-off type thing.
Okay.
Probably for mobile phones.
Joy.
But no, I think it'd be single player for now.
Okay.
I would like, just on a real quick, I would like another game to do a Dragman's Dogma and like make the online just be where you can have other people's party members join you, like that they've created.
Yeah.
Like I thought the pawn system was really cool in that. I would like to see that return in a JRPG at some point.
That'd be excellent. I'll be all for that.
Real quick, before we get into Empire of Angels 4, because that's the other game that I took some notes about for you, sir. I just want to throw out there, Senran Ninja Taisen Neptune Sojo Tachi no Kyoen looks awesome.
I'm going to get you to make a recording of that. And every time I'm just going to be like a DJ, and I'm just going to press that drop button when I have to say that title.
We could do that. Because, yeah, I just like to say it. It's such a long, ridiculous name for a video game.
It's fantastically awful.
I hope it gets a Western release date eventually. It looks fun. I saw you on the YouTube putting up some videos for it.
Yeah, I mean, the images and the video, it looks like it could be a lot of fun. We've gotten games like that before, so I don't see why we couldn't. Obviously, it's not going to be called that. They'll shorten it down into something, but yeah, I'm excited about potentially playing this next year.
Yeah, man. Me too. I hope so. You know me. I love the Neptunia series.
Not a traditional Neptune game by any point. I mean, it's
No.
pretty much an action game with some light RPG elements.
Yeah, and I mean, I've played 2 of the Neptunia spin-offs for the show now, and both of them were action RPGs. So I'm ready for one of the turn-based ones to pop. I'm like, all right. I don't get me wrong. I like action RPGs, but I really love those turn-based games. I'm sure everybody
Absolutely.
can relate with that. Yeah.
it's so weird because you would think turn-based would be the same old thing over and over again, but that's what I crave as well. Whereas the action ones are so different, but they kind of all feel the same in a lot of ways.
Isn't that odd? But absolutely
It
true.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
like
as much as I'm looking forward to Tales of Arise, I'm looking much more forward to something turn-based, maybe like Edge of Eternity or something. So,
it's like turn-based is classic rock, right? It's always good. And
hmm
then action RPGs are like the new thing. It's the new action RPGs, the new alternative music. And it's like, yeah, there's some good alternative music, but there's some really boring, repetitive, by the numbers alternative music that
yeah,
just is made specifically to be popular and make money. And I feel that is the same with turn-based RPGs and action RPGs. But that's just me being a crotchety old man.
it is. But that's what we are, and that's okay. Because hey, we're not the only ones. I mean, turn-based is as popular as it's ever been. Every time they go away from it, people say, "No, what are you doing?" But I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So I think I personally feel like with like the next Trails game, where they're going to that hybrid system where you can play either action or turn based. I think that could kind of be the future.
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea. I wonder if they pulled that from some of the more recent PC games, like, oh goodness, Pathfinder and Kingmaker. Now,
Okay,
granted, that's not a JRPG in the slightest, but it's got a turn-based or real-time with pause. You can do either.
interesting.
So I wonder if game developers are pulling from these ideas and being like, well, that could work in our situation.
I
You
mean,
know,
that's always been the way. I mean, there was no such thing as really. I mean, in some ways, JRPGs were open world from the beginning, but we have seen that influence into those games from Western developers. So it stands to reason they're both going to influence each other.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, and speaking of some influence, my good sir, uh, Empires of Angels 4, or Empire of Angels 4, I mean,
Yes.
right off the
Oh
bat,
man.
it's Fire Emblem Light.
Okay.
Okay, it's like the same grid based. You can only move so many squares per round. So I didn't take a ton of notes on this because it seems like it would be a decent game, but maybe not one that I would seek out unless the show calls for it. It's cutesy. It's got like a little chibi style, but
hmm
but the graphics are really pretty for that style. I'll give it that. The game looks good. Um, the world seems to be only females.
Of course. They're
Uh,
angels.
it's Japanese dub with English subtitles.
Okay.
Um, like I said,
Or Chinese dub. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Chinese. Yeah. Combat seems like Fire Emblem Light. Like I said, I enjoyed it. The two weird things why I'm kind of being like about this is they're chibi. So we all know what chibi looks like, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you attack your enemies and beat them, their clothes explode off.
Of course it does. Why wouldn't it?
So after like I don't know an hour of seeing little chibi characters in their underwear, I was starting to feel a little creepy. I won't lie. I was like, "Oh, this game is fun," but I'm so then so then my character, who is this little, I assume white girl or Asian girl,
Hmm.
gets hit with a fire spell, and
Okay.
now I know everyone. This is a Japanese game with Japanese humor, and I'm sure that this is a Japanese joke of some sort, but I hope they patch this out of the console release that they're doing, or I mean Chinese joke. Whatever. I don't
It's
know.
okay.
So, when you get hit with the fireball, your character turns black. Now,
Okay.
that would be normal, like you get all like turned to ash or whatever, except your character's hair goes from its ponytail to a big afro.
Oh no. Oh man.
and and your skin turned completely black. And I'm like, oh, that could
That's
possibly cause issues.
that's not going to go over so well in 2021.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, all right. Well, I mean, it made me giggle because
Of
I know
course, I mean that.
it is what it is. But
That's like cartoons that we grew up on. When there was an explosion, yeah, it was black from the dust and the ash and everything like that. The explosion,
yeah,
right? But yeah,
but the
maybe
afro
that
too.
joke is past.
Yeah, I think if they would have left their hair alone, that would have been fine. But
Probably.
when I saw that, I was like, ooh, all right.
Man.
I mean, but one thing I will say about it is it seems like it would fit right at home on a phone.
It looks like a mobile game.
Yeah, it's like there's no overworld from what I could see. It was like you
Okay.
go from one battle and then it takes you to the little, I'll call it the overworld, but you see your little character move to the next spot, and then you have some visual novel type cutscenes, and then you go into the
Right.
battle. And I played 2 or 3 battles, and I was like, I know enough about this game.
You nailed it. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, it's pretty much it's all right. If it sounds like something that you might enjoy, I would just look up gameplay of it, and maybe catch it on sale. But you never know; they might tune it up for consoles. I really don't know. But it's the PC version. I'm gonna give it like a 6.5 out of 10.
That might be generous. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and that is me being generous.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll give it a 6.5 because it really, like, for its style, looks good, and honestly the combat was fun for what it is. It's just there's not a lot of depth to it.
I think my problem with the game is you make it feel like a mobile game when you put the chibi characters kind of in there, but then you've got the high res full sized models as well. And it's like, okay, can we not just use that for the entire game? Do we really need 2 separate things that would have been in place 20 years ago?
Yeah,
It kind of cheapens the whole experience.
I feel you there, man. I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean that's it. I cover it because of what it is. It doesn't mean I necessarily want to play it.
No, yeah, I know. I just know when I had seen that you had mentioned that it was getting a console release. I was like, oh, I own that game, so I can give a little preview to people.
Absolutely,
because it's one of those rarities that was on computer over here before console.
Yeah, June 26th or December 2016. So
yeah,
it's just been kind of hanging out for 5 years.
Which is odd to me that it's just now they're like, oh yeah, maybe we could bring this to console. Why?
Yeah, why? Who exactly was screaming for that?
And I mean, I know there's also the well, why not? But I don't know.
It is definitely interesting. So we still live in a day and age where a game like Ys 9 is almost 2 years from the time it comes out in Japan to the time it comes to PC. It's still 6 months after its PS4 release. But then, we've got Tales of Arise, which is coming out the same day for PC. So what are we there? Is this kind of like that turning point to where PC games are going to finally come out the same day as consoles?
Well, I think Tales of Arise will be one of those that can make or break the situation.
Okay.
And I think that some of these games are getting PC releases strictly due to recent releases that have done so well, like Persona 4 Golden. And I know that's a rough spot for you.
You had to bring it up always. Why is that not on consoles besides Vita?
Baffling to me. I can't answer that. I really don't know why. It's so strange.
It is.
But that game sold really well on PC. Almost like people have been clamoring for Persona games on PC forever. Right?
Go figure.
So I think now that some of these developers see that, and then other games, like I think Code Vein did relatively well. the Trail series I know does well on PC. So I think that if Tales of Arise comes out and releases day one on console and PC, and enough people on PC buy it to prove that this market is also like viable, because obviously console is what it is. People are gonna eat up all the JRPGs on console.
Yeah.
But to be able to go and prove that, like, computer players like JRPGs too, like, we're not all out here just playing Call of Duty with bots that shoot everybody in the head on purpose. Like, there's a lot of us that don't play those types of games. And then, don't get me wrong, I enjoy Western RPGs too. I enjoy me a good Might and Magic game, or, Skyrim, whatever. But, like, deep down in my heart, when I want a comfort game, when I want something that I just want to play and feel good about, it's always going to be a JRPG game.
Yeah, always.
And I know I can't speak for everybody, but for the people that are like me for PC, this is a step in the right direction, and I hope that they keep going in this direction. I hope Tales does amazing, and I hope that other games start being added to PC day one as well, because this waiting game kind of sucks.
It does. Another one that I forgot that's actually going to do the same thing is what's coming out in June is Scarlet Nexus is coming out for everything at the same time.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Christ Tales is coming out for everything at the same time. So maybe it's, obviously it's on the developers to make that happen as well. But I feel like it has maybe a little bit to do with the Xbox factor. So if you're developing for it, which is, let's be fair, it's pretty much a PC, then maybe it doesn't take as much work to then make a PC version of it as well.
Yeah, I would have to say you're probably right, because if it ends up on Xbox Game Pass, I would say 7 out of 10 times it's going to end up on PC Game Pass as well.
Okay.
Which is one thing that I think is really cool, that if you pay for that Xbox Game Pass, like, you get it on Xbox and PC. So I thought that's pretty cool, and that would make it to where, like, if these people wanted to get more attention into their games, then yeah, they're going to want to do a PC version along with the Xbox version, so that their game would be on both.
That makes sense. I mean, you're unless a console has an exclusivity, contract, like FF7 Remake, to where it can only be on a Sony console, which we thought it was only a year, but we were already past that. And with Integrate coming out, it's the same deal. But why would you not market it to as many potential customers as possible, unless it's, let's say it's developed exclusively for the Switch. Well, it's not going to translate as well to the other platforms. It's completely different, but just makes sense to me.
But honestly, even recently, I bet Epic Games is banking on Kingdom Hearts right now.
Oh, you better! I'm sure they paid a lot of money for that.
Yeah, and I bet they've recouped it already.
Probably.
Like, I know so many PC players that were clamoring to play that because they wanted it, 60 frames, 4K, all of that jazz. And those are games that I never thought would get ported to PC. Never. No. I never even considered it. And then one day they're like, oh, hey, by the way, you can get every Kingdom Hearts game on Epic now. Oh. All right. Like, even the brand new one that just came out like less than a year
exactly.
ago.
So it's like, a year ago, if you bet me $100, which Kingdom Hearts is coming out for either PC or Switch first, I would have said Switch, of course.
Oh, I'd have said Switch all day.
Yeah. I'd have assumed so. Maybe not 3. Obviously that could be everything but 3 could come out for it. But yeah, it's a crazy world. I mean, notwithstanding the Persona 4 Golden debacle, it's changing. And I've said this a time before, I don't understand what Xbox is doing, because it feels like it's just a PC. And
yeah,
how can there be room for all 4, basically?
Well, you mean PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC?
Yeah, it seems like there's 2. There's never been really 2 has been for the longest time, but 3 at a time is really all the market can sustain. So you're basically talking about 4, and 2 of them are basically the same thing.
Yeah, and consoles come and go, man. PC is always there. And I think that's because just it's the nature of the beast. You know, PCs are built to last. So, I don't know, man. Like, I don't even think about, like, what people consider the console war anymore.
Yeah.
Because exclusivity is almost all but dead.
Outside of first party, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and even then, sometimes those games sneak onto other consoles.
They do.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I just PC Master Race all day, but...
I understand. let me ask you a PC question just to pique my own interest. Like, so obviously the main thing, you know, I work on a computer all day long, so I understand that part of it. Like, in terms of like a graphics card, how often do you have to upgrade to that? So if you're talking a console, you're putting $500 in every, let's just say, 5 years. What's the equivalent in terms of upgrading your graphics card? How much? How many years or so?
I think that just depends on the person and your, like, how you like things. Because, okay, so, like, when I first got my computer, I had my graphics card that was in there. I don't remember what it was right offhand. It was good, but it wasn't great. And I used that graphics card for, like, 2 years. And then I upgraded to this one that I've got now, which is a 2060 Super. And honestly, I've had this graphics card now for like about 2 years.
Okay.
It runs everything fine. I mean, if I had the money to upgrade it, I would, but I'm in no rush to.
Okay.
So I could probably get another year or two out of this card before games start coming out that make it crap its pants. Well, I say that. Cyberpunk 2077 on Ultra with ray tracing on dropped it to about 5 frames a second.
Oh, that's not ideal.
No, not at all. So, but NVIDIA's got this nifty thing now that they do. It's called like DLSS, and I'm not 100% sure what it stands for, but basically it makes the game look really good. Like, you can run it on the max settings, and it just makes up for it in other ways as you're playing. I don't know how. It's really strange, but it allows you to run it smoother at higher graphical fidelity. It's interesting, man. It's coming along.
That is pretty cool. And what kind of like price range do you use? So like, what's your investment every couple of years, money wise?
Before all of this cryptocurrency and all of that, it wasn't so bad. It was like $500 for a really good one. Now, you can't even find top of the line graphics cards.
No, it's impossible. It's like it's trying to find a PlayStation 5. You're probably just as likely to find one.
Yeah, and if you do find one, it'll probably be from a scalper, and you'll probably pay at least $1,300.
Which is about what they're going for on Amazon for a PlayStation 5. That's the new currency now, is PS5s and graphics cards.
Yeah.
In gold. That's
and Dogecoin.
And crypto, yeah. Bitcoin. Dollar bills are worthless. How many PS5s you got? I'm going to trade you.
Yeah, it's wild.
It is insane times.
It's like the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden, like, you can't find consoles anywhere. You can't find graphics cards anywhere. You can't find toilet paper. What's going on here?
Of all those things, the thing that I need, you can finally buy in everyday supply. So I'm okay with that part.
It was looking rough there for a couple weeks, though. It was like, do I need to get a bidet? Like, what's going on?
There was, I guess it was the last April or May. It was definitely a point where, like, because I live with 2 girls, and the consumption's a little bit higher for the female species. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know how this is going to work. I want to. So unless you got another anything else you want to chit chat about, I've got one final up for you, and it is, as you invited me on your show to talk about Chrono Trigger, I have to ask, did you finally complete the game?
No, not yet. I know.
I know. I did have an assignment for you for this podcast, so like a good teacher, I'll say thank you for completing your homework. But you got to get back to that.
Yeah, I need to. Because I would like to see how that story wraps up.
Yeah, and of course the multiple endings. I mean, there's a lot of investment that you can make into that one. Of course, I know you want to. So
yeah, for sure. Well, so there is something I would like to touch on.
Sure.
Two things actually. I'll make them quick though. So, the Atelier.
Atelier.
Yes. Okay, I can never remember exactly how to say that word. Atelier.
It's okay. I barely know it, so.
I went a little ham and got a bunch of those. Which ones are you familiar with, or should I just tell you the ones that I got, and then you can tell me if you've played them?
The ones I played, obviously, you heard me gush about Rise of 1 and 2. But the Arlen trilogy was what I started on, which is Rorona, Meru, and
Totori?
Aisha. And Totri, yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Totri was the second one. That was my least favorite one.
Yeah, so I got all three of those.
That's a perfect place to start. That's where I started at. Yeah.
And then there's Lulua, the Scion of Arland, which
that's a very good one. I like that one.
Okay, so I've got those four, and then also I was like one is Nelki and the Legendary Alchemist. It's like the Ateliers of the New World or something like that.
I think that's the spin-off one. Yeah. That's not actually a part of it.
Oh, okay. Well, then Atelier Firis, the Alchemist and the Mysterious Journey. Atelier Aisha.
Okay.
The Alchemist of
Aisha.
Dusk. Atelier Esha and Loki.
Yes. Yeah.
Alchemist
I've never
of
known how to
Dusk.
say that one either.
And then I got Atelier Shally, and Lydia and Suella, the Alchemist and the Mysterious Paintings. So I just stocked up on that series because I've heard you rant so much about how good it is that I was like, let's go check it out because I
think
love
you
crafting.
got most of them. Did you say Sophie? That's the only one I didn't hear.
No, Sophie was not part of the thing. Yeah.
Okay, so you got most of them. Shally, I always say is Shallies because there's two Shallies characters in there. It's kind of weird. But yeah, so I started with Verona, and the only thing you've got to really remember is with those first couple ones at least, there are time limits for everything. And should you fail your time limits, you fail the game.
Completely.
Yeah, Totri in particular, I completely ran out of time and failed maybe halfway through. I wasn't even close to the end, and it's game over, man.
Oh man,
it's rough. I'm talking you go gathering, and every gathering action takes a set amount of time. It is just ridiculous how much they did.
It's almost like a time management math game as well. Then
it really is, and I failed miserably and didn't start over. They've got away from that pretty much every time to where Ryza doesn't even really have those at all, which I actually prefer. But that's the only thing to keep in mind, and they're cheesy.
I love cheesy games. I'm all good.
Okay, and they are alchemy, so you're going to spend half your time doing alchemy, and the other half, gathering and battling and experiencing crazy stories.
I will say that probably for the past 2 months, my sub's up now, but I was playing Final Fantasy 14, and I think I ran 2 dungeons that whole time. The rest of the time, I was crafting and gathering. So
so you're right in line. You're ready to go. They're not long games either. They're on the shorter side. 40, 50 tops.
Yeah. I have a list with all of the games on the list for the show, and I have their how long to beat times. And yes, before you asked, it took me forever to do. But yeah, it seems like completionist for Rorona's 58, completionist 59, and that's doing everything. It says just main stories 20 hours or so.
Yeah, but you can fly through if you really want to.
But then some of the other games, the Mysterious Paintings game, looks like it's way longer.
Yeah, They can go a little longer, but it obviously depends on what you put into it. I would have suggested you buy one and try it first, but hey, you do what you got to do to get them all.
Yeah, I mean, well, I had a little luck with some Dogecoin recently, so I had like
There
a
you go.
little extra, not a ton, but enough that I saw that these games were cheap on G2A, so I was like, yeah, I'll check
Okay.
it out. The other ones that I just want to know if you've ever even heard of. Let me try to say this: Utawa Rirumono.
What is that?
Have
That doesn't ring any bells.
Okay, I was just curious if you had ever heard of it because I've never really heard of it. Yeah, Utaru Wirumono, Mask of Truth and the Mask of Deception. It's like
yeah,
a dual.
it starts with a U. Yeah, I never know how to spell that thing or even come close to say it. I didn't play any of those. They looked, I don't know if it looked like visual novel a little bit or just not quite up my alley. There's several of those in that series though.
Yeah, I saw those. My buddy like was letting me look through his list of games that he has that are DRM free, and he was like, if you see any that you want to play, just let me know. And I saw those names, and I was like, why don't you pop those over to me because I can't read that name, which means I'll probably like that game.
Probably that's usually the way it goes, right? There was definitely a conscious moment in terms of like whether I should cover some games or not, and if I can't pronounce it, sometimes those get axed just because I can't say them.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. The only thing I got left for you, man, is if you could recommend me one or two JRPGs for PS3.
Oh yeah, you had brought that. You'd said that the other day, and and I think I mentioned it too. Is like unfortunately that is, in terms of tiers, that's the bottom level of PlayStation in terms of JRPGs. But
Yeah.
there's a couple of them. I don't know how many. You said you've got an actual system. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I've got two.
Okay, so I didn't know if this was something to be on. The one I recommend, and it does sound weird because it does have Pokemon elements to it, but it's Ni no Kuni. That is my favorite PlayStation 3 game.
Okay.
It's similar, but it's just, it's Ghibli, so I think kind of know what you would get with that one.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've got both the Ni no Kuni games on PC, so like I can imagine that playing it on with a controller would be nice.
Okay. You picking up the entire Atelier roster helped because there's like six or at least six of them on there that
Oh, wow.
that were some of the that's why I got into that series was because there was such a shortage of them on the PlayStation 3 and it was kind of like, well, I guess I'll give these a shot because I got nothing else to.
Might as well make some potions.
That's basically it. Yeah. So there was 1, 2, 3. There was 3 Tales games. So you got Exilia 1 and 2, and you got Tales of Graces. I would highly recommend Exilia and Graces, and unfortunately, I did not care for Exilia 2.
Okay. I think I've seen Zilia around, so I'll have to check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, the first one was excellent. Like I really liked that one, and Graces was kind of more the older style. So if you like Symphonia, Graces was a little closer to it than on the spectrum as compared to some of the faster like Berseria ones, but still had plenty. It was nice.
Okay.
I personally enjoyed the White Knight Chronicles games. They're not for everybody, but I thought they were pretty cool. That was actually a Sony game that were kind of made like offline MMOs in a way.
I've heard of that game, and I've heard mixed reactions about it. So
Yes,
I'll look
it's
into
very
it.
mixed.
I'll look into it.
Yeah, the only other one, and you can find it, you may not be able to, that I would definitely recommend is Eternal Sonata.
Now that's a name that I've heard, but I know little to nothing about that game.
It is one of those like super unknown, but the people who do know it love it. It's a musical JRPG, and it
Really?
oh gosh, what is the guy's
That
name?
sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, well, this is like classical music. So it follows. I can't remember the composer's name, but it's kind of like he falls into a deep sleep, and it goes into his world in his dream. He's like, and it's all the instruments are music based. It's turn based. It has incredible story. Very, we talk about JRPG tropes that keep popping up. This does not have many of those. It is completely on its own spectrum in terms of gameplay, and I loved every minute of it. So if you can find it, I highly recommend it.
Word. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for it, brother. I appreciate that.
No problem. Like I said, I mean, I'm looking at my collection right now, and there's probably others, but that is
The ones that stick out. Yeah.
yeah, that I've played personally and can recommend.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about all I had, brother.
No problem. Now, of course, with your PlayStation 3, don't forget download PS1 Classics. That's probably the best thing of it. If you
Oh yeah. Well,
they're pretty cheap.
let me just say that one of my PlayStations has custom firmware.
Oh, okay then.
So yeah, don't you worry about PlayStation 1 Classics.
you're well taken care of.
I got that covered. Yeah, let's leave it at that.
Very good. And I'm sure if anybody else has any suggestions for PlayStation 3 games, why don't you tell people where they can find you at, buddy?
Oh yeah, you can find me on Twitter at. It's probably easier just to tweet me on the show page because I think my normal one's like at Super Nerd Dalton or something, but I need to change that. So, but at Steam_podcast is where you will find us on Twitter. On Facebook, you can find me. Just look up Dalton Suter. Fat guy sitting on a cannon. That's me. Doesn't that sound ridiculous?
It's awesome. It's a good picture.
The Steam Machine Podcast. Also, we have a Facebook page or Facebook groups or more your thing. We got the Steam Machine Podcast Lounge. But if you want to make it all really easy on yourself and find all of these things in one place, go to the steammachinepodcast.wordpress.com, and I've got links to everything on there. So if you want to find me to talk to me, you want to watch on Twitch, you want to join the Discord, it's all on the website. So
there you go. That's easy, all in one place. Then, dude, we appreciate you coming on, talking some PC. Won't be the last time. I may pick your brain here again soon, but definitely thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Always, man. I'm always up for coming on, and I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So I will tell everyone thank you so much for tuning in. This has been episode 163, and since we got you here, buddy, you did so good on that one, dude. Why don't you give your vocal impression of the ending for us?
All right, everybody. Why don't you get out there and level up?